So Josh McCouga's here, and we're breaking the rule of two again for a second week in a row.
Yeah. And why is he here? I mean, that's the bigger question.
The whys, the rule break. The whys, the hows, and the whats.
Okay, I have to ask a question.
Yes.
I have to ask a question.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Josh, you are one of the more, I think it's fair to say you're one of the more visible guys at Collider, right?
Visible?
Yeah, visible, like out there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like in terms of our personalities, right?
Popularity, personalities. He's Wild Berries fans.
All well-deserved.
McCougs is,
right? All well-deserved. Okay. But now, typically, as it happens with personalities, is that personalities start developing signatures with the fans, right? There's expectations. There's sometimes stereotypes, right? Is it fair to say that the stereotype around you is that you're not really much of a Star Wars guy?
I would think that's pretty spot on. I mean, I like them. I didn't even know people didn't like the prequels until I got to work here. And I was like, I mean, the prequels are terrible. I'm like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Yeah. Okay, good.
The ones with the lightsabers?
It's still a Star Wars movie, right? Like,
exactly.
Did we see different movie? Okay.
Right. Fair enough.
That's kind of why we did this. Because here on this episode of Rule of Two, we are going to discuss Solo, a Star Wars story. By the way, this is episode 8 of Rule of Two.
Episode 8.
And Solo, the Blu-ray, is coming out next week. There is already the digital version out there. And John Kasdan, co-writer of Solo, a Star Wars story, dropped 52 useless facts about, this is what he said, 52 useless Solo factoids.
It literally is called 52 useless factoids. Okay, I'm sorry.
I do my research before every show.
These are not the factoids you're looking for.
This is correct. So, and he put them out there on the internet, and I'm going to go right there. I'm going to pull off the Band-Aid. Fernandez and I, or Mark Sidious and Darth Rylus.
We forget about that whole name thing all the time.
I forget because they've been calling me Yodi for my entire life.
I'm Ewok 4 in Return of the Jedi.
That's right. Yeah. What is McCouga's Star Wars name? He needs one, right? Ewok 4? Is that your name?
Yeah, sure. Ewok 4.
Ewok 4.
Ewok 4.
I'm hairy enough.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat jovial, and I'm not good with weapons that aren't rocks.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so Ewok number 4 is joining us because, so I'm going to rip off the Band-Aid, say what I was going to say. Fernandez and I didn't like Solo that much. We had our problems with it. It's not it's not up there as far as Star Wars stories or movies are concerned.
Yeah.
There are things I do really like, but we'll get into that. Josh McCouga, or Ewok number 4, did like Solo. So just tell me a little bit about what you liked about Solo.
Okay. Han Solo is my favorite character in the Star Wars film, mostly because I look at him as Indiana Jones.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, besides being the same actor, obviously, I think it's a similar personality. Everything kind of the same. They encapsulate the same kind of ideals, if you will.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that Alden Ehrenreich is a fantastic actor. I love Donald Glover. I thought this movie encapsulated what Han Solo is, and what if we were going to look at a prequel or what Han Solo is supposed to be. It is a heist film. It's a heist movie. It's with a lot of Star Wars tones and kind of callbacks or whatever. I think it has a great ticking clock. It's a lot of fun. There's some good humor. Are there misses? Of course there's misses. I think there's misses in every Star Wars movie. But from beginning to end, I had a great time with this movie. So when I found out that nobody liked Solo, again, I was like, why? Tell me, and I know that you got the Star Wars purists always come at me with, well, you don't know this. Okay, maybe I don't.
Look, and this is very important, okay? Because we didn't want to do a Rule of Two episode because it's against the Rule of Two code to just bang on something.
Yeah, I'm going to remain devil's advocate.
Sure.
I'm going to try to steer it that way.
Yeah, but I wanted to have McCouga on to give us a little perspective as we start the discussion, to have the other side of the coin. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. And I
maybe
wanted him
from a layman. Is that fair?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I wanted him on there too because I understand when people tell me they really like this movie. I do. I completely understand it. It didn't do it for me because I felt like I've seen this movie before. Yeah. I've seen everything in the Star Wars universe, for better or for worse. So for me, nothing really was added to it for me that I was like, well, we needed that movie. But again, devil's advocate. I see why people liked it. There are some great moments even for me. But Makuga, with your Star Wars movies out there,
Yes.
What are some of your favorites? Let's
Well,
get a little
I
bit
know-
of a temperature here.
See, when you guys call me layman, I know that my Marvel.
I called you layman for the
it's
record.
Fine,
Yeah,
it's fine.
I
It's good.
apologize.
And
No,
I'll
go
go to
ahead.
bat
No,
for you
no,
on
go
this.
ahead.
I will go to bat and I'll stick up for you always.
I know a ton of useless knowledge about a ton of movies. I don't know a lot of knowledge about certain movies. Okay?
Right.
But I've seen every Star Wars. I really enjoy it, and I know that for a fact that Rogue One is in my top 3. I love Rogue One.
There
I
it
think
is.
that Rogue One is a
I love
super fun
Rogue
movie.
One as well.
I've never been a huge Empire Strikes Back fan. I think it's good, but I've never been the biggest.
Okay, that's where we draw the line.
See,
Get out.
There you go. Yeah,
No,
okay.
I'm kidding.
all right.
I'm kidding.
But I love Ant-Man. That's probably my favorite Marvel movie.
Right.
So
There it is.
I have different opinions about certain things because I look for certain things. And for me, because this was outside of the trilogy, it was outside of the saga or whatever we're calling it. There's like 900 of them now, saga. Because it was outside of it, it gave me a little more perspective on what Star Wars films can do and how much fun they can be.
Right.
And
That's a
why
great
I like
way to
it.
put it.
That's why I like
Just
it.
as a straight up heist film, you liked it on its own, on that merit by itself. Didn't even from that perspective, it seemed all a little contrived.
No, I think the entire Star Wars world is sort of contrived. So why not just let it keep?
Right.
Let
You're
it,
saying like almost like the myth of heists, right? Like if Star Wars Saga is about the hero's journey,
Yeah.
and it has this very meticulous thing, why not the heist film be?
The template?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was. I think if anything, Solo was a heist film mixed with a Western in space. And I
I don't see the Western part of it.
oh, you didn't really see what? Oh, that I did.
it definitely has like a hell or high water kind of.
The whole heist that begins, and by the way, we're going to spoil this, so hopefully you've
Yeah,
seen
it's
Solo.
yeah.
Because I think we can't really talk about it without spoiling it, and it's
Sure.
been out for
Yeah,
many
yeah,
months.
Spoiler heavy.
Spoiler heavy. Spoiler alert. So
If there's one person I know loves spoiling things more than anybody, it's
that guy.
old
yeah.
Marky Fernandez. over here.
Well, first of all, it's just like, look, if we're going to take the trouble to talk about something, you
Yeah.
have to assume that you've watched it to relate to us.
A
There is
non-spoiler conversation lasts 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is spoiler heavy.
And why, if you're tuning into this going, hey, the title's going to be something about
Right.
Solo, the Blu-ray, and all these useless factoids that the right put out there. Why are you watching this if you haven't seen it? So, anyways, but I saw the Western in there. I mean, the train heist is basically a train robbery from a Western.
Yeah.
I mean, I got it. And then you have outlaws coming in, or Enfys Nest in the movie. Outlaws come in and try to take their thing.
What
And
was your favorite part about the movie?
I think my favorite part about the movie was seeing a different take on a classic character in like an own actors. They
So
didn't.
Alden Ehrenreich's performance, you enjoyed.
I really loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I think that a lot of times what you get when you do those types of movies is you get an impersonation of the actor. So when you see a prequel with a different actor, you see like, oh, I'm going to try and do my best Harrison Ford. I think he did his best Han Solo.
I agree. I actually had zero problem with Alden, and I thought he was fantastic.
I had a huge problem with Alden.
Yeah, I know.
He's too short.
Yeah,
He's too short.
That might be one of them. Where, okay, he's not going to look like Han Solo. Have the
Tom Cruise is short.
Tom's
Yeah, but Tom Cruise. First of all, Tom Cruise is an
Ben Stiller's short.
American like icon and American treasure. And Alden's a great actor, but like
It's young. It's young in his career, so
when you
we
look
don't
at the
know if
original
he's gonna
Star
put
Wars
one yet.
films, like the actual method of the shapes and the lines and all this stuff, right? And you look at the original crew,
Hmm.
Han Solo is the adult man in the
No,
room.
that makes sense.
You know?
Luke's definitely shorter than him. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Luke's also shorter than him, like, allegorically.
Yeah.
He's like a kid, where Han Solo is like the dude, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
He's the alpha male.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's what I'm really trying to say. He's the alpha male.
And you didn't feel like Alden Ehrenreich was alpha?
Oh, my Lord, no.
And see,
Not
I
even
could
close.
see.
Did
but
you
see-
did you feel like he was alpha?
Yeah.
But I could see him coming into that
With who?
alphaness.
Not with the
later.
Not with his love interest. His love interest had hand in that relationship, as it were. Right?
but
he's not alpha with Woody Harrelson, right? Because he's like Woody Harrelson's like.
But you
little
have to. I think
trainee.
that's the character journey,
Sure.
right?
But even with Lando, he's not alpha with him, right? He's
Right.
always kind of getting.
Yeah, but Lando's been screwing him over since the Empire Strikes Back. So.
And he did
Yeah,
get screwed over. And I will say this:
Never trust
I
Lando.
I loved the end. I loved the FU, and it was
The little
an
switch at
FU
the end. It's one of the better parts
to
of the
George
movie.
Lucas, and not an FU to him, but it's like Han shot 1st.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls out that gun, quick draw, Western, blows Away Beckett
Right.
first.
Right.
And that was my favorite part of this movie. Absolutely,
You have
because of
you have to wade through 2 hours of other weird stuff to get there. But
you do. And
I don't think
there's
you wade. I think you're hanging around in the lazy river, just enjoying the ride.
and there's some
it does have
factoids
a
here.
lazy river vibe to it. That's fair.
There's a lot of laissez-faire with this. There's a lot of lazy river. There's a lot of factoids here. But Solo was out. It's coming out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Josh McCouga liked it.
I did.
And
Is
I
that my
appreciate
outro?
you chiming in.
Yeah.
Yep, you can
And
see
look,
where I'm going with this.
I'm glad.
And he created a filter for us as
Yes.
we enter our discussion to see a point of view that was positive. I think
Absolutely.
that's important. That's important.
It is an important piece of Rule of Two is to find that balance, to celebrate, to discuss and debate and have fun because it's Star Wars,
Yeah.
right? And so with that, thank you, Josh McCouga.
Ewok 4 out.
Ewok 4 out. And for everybody listening at home, this is Rule of Two. That's right, it's episode 8 of Rule of Two. It's an official spin-off of the Jedi Council Podcast One feed, Collider's Jedi Council, the Star Wars show that celebrates Star Wars. Jedi Council is every Thursday live at 10 a.m., and Rule of Two is every Wednesday. And here we are, episode 8. I am Darth Rylis, joined, as always, by Mark Sidious, Master. Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you, brother?
I'm fine. I'm fine now.
Good.
This is good. We did a little opening with Josh McCouga, the wild man who dropped in to talk his love of Star Wars,
Set
which
the
he does
palette-
like. He
set-
did.
Set the palette of positivity as we enter a discussion that I think we're both kind of passionate about.
That's-
Maybe on the other side.
I love my Star Wars,
Yeah.
and I love my Star Wars even when I didn't like a particular movie that much. That's what a Star Wars fan, in my opinion, if you like your Star Wars and you don't like the particular movie, I know you're going to find things you like, but I know that we don't also have to yell and scream at people for it. It's
Oh,
like,
without a doubt.
let's just
Yeah,
have a conversation. Why didn't you like it? Why did I? Blah, 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 blah. Anyways,
Yeah.
this is Rule of Two. It's on Podcast One, Collider Jedi Council feed.
Yeah.
Subscribe, rate, leave a comment here. Tell us how we're doing. I am at Riley Around on Twitter, and he is at Mark Fernandez on Twitter. You can hit us up there as well, but we're going right into it. It is Solo, a Star Wars story. The Blu-ray is coming out next week. The digital copy is out there, and to celebrate, co-writer John Kasdan went to Twitter, and he dropped 52 useless Solo factoids and tidbits for anyone who's interested.
Yeah.
And you immediately tagged me and said, well, I know what we're talking about.
Yeah. I found it fascinating when I started reading through them. I found it fascinating around the timing.
Yeah.
I found it fascinating. It's almost like his, 97, like the 97 thesis of Martin Luther. Hit up on the Church of Wittenberg,
Right.
saying, here's my point of view around something that I know. Maybe the expectations that I had for it weren't received as such with the public, and I
Right.
thought it was very interesting. And
It's interesting. You know what, though? We took it differently. So keeping with the theme of Rule of Two,
Yeah.
all from a certain point of view,
Yeah.
You brought up it was 52 excuses for the movie, correct? Am I correct in saying that that's what you kind of
No.
took from it right away?
That's I kind of took it as like here's a film that was not received well.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's obviously very aware of it, right?
Yes.
Here are 52 things that might make it better. So not excuses.
Got it.
But like here's like before you go off and keep judging this thing, right? Let me give you a little context around
Right.
some of the thoughts and the creative process around it. So yeah, to some degree, it did have the, hey guys, I know you didn't like the movie, but here are things like that maybe will make you like it a little bit better if you see it from my perspective.
Got it. I can go a little bit closer to that opinion as well.
Yeah.
Because I think it's no secret now, since the cold opening, we did mention this. Fernandez and I are pretty much on the same page for this happens in Star Wars. You're going to be on the same page with your friends and your colleagues and the people out there in the Star Wars world. You're going to be on complete opposite sides. You're going to like some and not the other. Isn't that what's great about Star Wars? Isn't that great about movies?
Absolutely. And look,
When you disagree, you can come down and sit and talk about it.
yeah, but look, I have to give you the not so pretty side because Riley's absolutely right.
Yeah.
As a homework assignment, okay, that we knew about after we saw the tweet, we both had the homework assignment to actually rewatch the film.
Rewatch the movie. Yeah.
I have to admit, I tried in 3 unique occasions to do it. I've seen the film, just to be very clear. I saw it on opening night. But
Me too.
I could not sit through it in any of the 3 attempts. And I even started the second attempt where I left off the first and the third and so on, and I still couldn't get through it.
Yeah, so my thing, I went to the premiere with you guys.
Yeah.
I then took my fiance Julie opening night,
Right,
so
saw it
I've seen
twice.
it twice.
Yep.
And so for this, I did sit down to watch it again. And with my fiance, I said, I have some homework to do. And she went, I'll just kind of sit next to you and do some work myself, and I'll watch it with you because I only saw it once. She said, I only saw it once. And I put it on, and 15 minutes in, she looked at me and said, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah.
I went,
It was very sincere.
it was very sincere.
Yeah.
She went, you know what? I've seen it, and it's not getting me. And I went, okay, I understand. And so we turned it off. I don't want to force her. 'Cause
Yeah.
She's already doing enough by with
Look,
my
you
movie
guys have
habit.
limited time together. You
Yeah.
want to enjoy something together. It makes perfect sense.
Exactly. So we didn't exactly watch it again, but I think that's a sign as to why I'm a completist with my Star Wars. I might buy it.
Yeah, I've been on the fence about buying it.
Physical, because
Okay, yeah.
digitally, I bought it
Oh, digitally, you did buy it.
last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fine. It is what it is. I think it's just the movie, no matter where it landed with people, I think that there is a conversation to be had about why it didn't land as well because of, be it critics, be it box office, but it is the Star Wars movie that is probably going to gross the least amount of money, which is very interesting in our culture right now of Star Wars, is that you have a lot of people said The Last Jedi could have caused some of the divisiveness leading into Solo, which could have been maybe a little bit of Star Wars fatigue. I happen to think there's a smidge of that mixed with Avengers Infinity War, Deadpool 2, a number of movies that were huge opening in the summer along with the Star Wars movie, and a quick turnaround. You're not getting the Star Wars out of your system after The Last Jedi, and you blink and there's
'Cause
another
like,
one.
It's like The Last Jedi is kind of like the LeBron James of Star Wars movies.
Ooh. Greatest of all time?
No, because LeBron James is not the greatest of all time.
I see
But
where you're going with
LeBron
this.
James is a stupendous winner
Yes.
and very successful.
Yes.
'Cause let's not forget that The Last Jedi, I believe, is the 3rd highest grossing film of all time, maybe?
No, not of all time now. That's Force. That's Force Awakens.
Force is 2.
Yeah, if we're
Avatar's
talking,
still one.
if we're talking domestic, I'm gonna pull it up.
Let's talk global. We're global people.
Yeah, let me see all time. So I think that if you can look at, I'm going to look at where The Last Jedi is. So
Yeah.
you want domestic or worldwide?
Global, yeah.
Global. Here we go. Worldwide, number 1 is Avatar.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Titanic.
Okay.
Number 3 is The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Infinity War.
Yeah.
Number 5 is Jurassic World, which shocks me.
Yeah, I liked it.
I like Jurassic World, but
Yeah.
I mean, just
It's so
fifth?
hot. Yeah.
Can't believe it. If okay, The Last Jedi drops in at number 11.
Okay, still-
right behind Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 2,
It's all
which
time
is
great.
insane.
It's all time great. Yeah.
When you
yeah.
think that there was so much hate that we were hearing about it, and people saying that it actually failed,
Right.
because they were comparing it to Force Awakens, which is a whole different conversation.
Sure.
The Last Jedi did not fail, and that's what you're alluding to.
Yeah, I mean, The Last Jedi was a
Box office wise, you can say it
was a
failed
huge success.
story wise, whatever.
It's the 11th highest
That's
all-time
debatable.
grossing film.
Yes.
Okay, so just not to do a comparative analysis here, where is Rogue One on that list?
Rogue One is
global.
Yeah, global. We have it at number 27.
Okay, so 27 Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
All right, all time. So that's all Star Wars franchise brand halo. Okay, would you agree
There it
with
is.
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Last Jedi, obviously a saga film, right? Episode 8.
Episode 8.
For the love of God.
Right.
Okay. Now, Han Solo, would you say that Han Solo comes into this film with a pre-existing brand halo? Much better, much bigger than the people of Rogue One, correct?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. So by using just that simple thing, if you told it to somebody that knows nothing about anything, they could
Right.
make a fairly good conclusion that Han Solo would fall somewhere in between Rogue One and The Last Jedi.
I would say that your numbers check out. I would say I totally
It's
agree with
logical.
that. It's logical.
Yeah.
You have facts to back it up.
Yeah.
As far as fan appreciation. Han Solo being one of the most, if not
Right.
the most
Josh
iconic
McCouga, just
favorite character.
gave testament just a few minutes ago.
Ken
that
Knapsack, I believe.
also his favorite?
Favorite, yep. He's a Star Wars guy. You know me, I'm a Luke guy myself.
Yeah, I'm an Anakin
and
guy.
you're an Anakin guy.
Yeah.
You can fall all over the place with these characters. But yes, so to your point,
Yeah,
I think that a lot of
The
people love Han.
expectations, right?
Yes, the expectations are everybody. I mean, and I got it too,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I talked to you about it.
Yeah.
As we got closer, and we're walking, and maybe we were seeing it through rose-colored glasses, but we're walking on the red carpet and doing our thing at the premiere. But by the time I sat down, I went, I can't wait.
I can't wait.
I'm like, I'm feeling
Remember
this.
me with Ron Howard and
Yeah.
Willow, the Willow connection.
Willow connection.
Ron Howard, the ultimate prequelist.
Yep.
You know,
Ron Howard, who I liken to a father running the grill at a
Yeah.
big banquet barbecue family reunion.
Yeah, and
he
I think-
he just knows his stuff.
So just to finish that last point, though.
Yeah.
So we can create some mathematical context. Where is Solo on that list?
As far as what?
The global grossing. Does it go that deep?
Oh, I don't even know if it goes that deep. Let's see here. Not seeing it yet.
Are you past 50?
I'm way past 50. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not even in the top 100. Let me see. I mean, I'm gonna go Solo.
Yeah, I think it's
A-star.
worth is just to create. Look, we're trying to build a case for our opinion here, right?
Yeah. Let me see where it's landing. I got it at now. Lifetime worldwide gross is 392 million. That's bad.
Okay.
That's bad. Let me see if I can find it on the.
Yeah, but so the point
On the
is
list.
is that it's definite like way it's so far below 27
Mm-hmm.
that we can't even find it on the list.
Right.
Okay, so I
It's-
love this theory, and I want to.
It's 279 all time.
279, right?
Yeah, it's
two orders of magnitude
Yes.
below 27.
Right.
Wow.
It's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane for a Star Wars movie. I mean, looking at the numbers again,
Yeah.
it's insane.
So look, let me ask you a question because I'm really actually now we're flowing, and I'm
This might be a good conversation. We can get to this as well, but this is cool.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. You as a Last Jedi guy,
Yeah.
right, and it's not like it's a crazy opinion because look, we just saw mathematical data that backs up
Yes.
your opinion.
And I didn't even mention the Blu-ray sales. It's the highest selling Blu-ray of this year over Black Panther for now.
Right.
I will say because Black Panther was out a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Or came out,
Yeah.
Last Jedi was out a little bit longer, whatever it may be. So it might change.
So I have my question. I'm not going to forget it, but can you look really quick and see where Revenge of the Sith is? Just for my own personal reality check.
Yep, I will do that. I think The Revenge of the Sith is all-time box office. I think it's
Box Office Mojo, right? That's the site we use.
it's the
a little
jam.
shameless plug there.
It's a great plug. Rank all-time domestic 37.
Wow.
Okay, and all-time worldwide 66.
Wow. So Rogue One, based on the math, based on the consumption, my boss over at Rockstar always told me that validation is consumption.
Absolutely,
You know?
I like that.
And like it just basically means that, the Beatles will always be the greatest band because of how much they have consumed, right? Or
Right.
have been consumed. Same with Drake, same with Beyonce. It's like things that make a lot of money. Jurassic World or
Jurassic
whatever.
World, yeah.
You have to take note in the things that go super mainstream, right? There's
Exactly.
There's validity.
There's validity. Super mainstream. There's a reason for it because it means that people are coming back to see it again. That's where I take it.
Right. But now let me ask you this question because this has been floating around the internet and I've seen some great Reddit discussions on it, and I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever heard your opinion on this.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that this massive drop off from 267 to 27 between Solo and Rogue One, do you think that was influenced by the qualitative feedback that people got from The Last Jedi? Like, did The Last Jedi influence that 2 order of magnitude drop between Rogue One and
I don't think.
Solo?
So. I don't think so. I don't think it influenced that. That you're speaking on the divisiveness.
I'm speaking that because we just said that on franchise alone, okay, and with the recognition of a character like Han Solo, okay, who's many people's most beloved character, that the movie was fair to say would fall between 27 and 11.
Sure.
Right? It's
Yep.
logical.
Logical.
It fell 267.
Yeah.
So what's the reason for that? One theory is that because The Last Jedi was so bad, or perceived as such by so many people, that it influenced this massive drop in interest in Solo.
I don't think the people that didn't like The Last Jedi influenced the people, influenced the huge drop off. I think that, and I'm going to go for a very simple science experiment that I do all the time with movies. Did my mother see it?
Right.
It's very simple. She did not see it.
Solo.
You know why? It wasn't Harrison Ford.
Right.
She went, I'm not interested in Harrison Ford in a movie about Han Solo that doesn't have Harrison Ford. I think that what you're referencing is one of the many reasons. I think Harrison Ford not being the character influenced it.
Yeah.
I think the fact that The Last Jedi came out 6 months or 5 months earlier influenced.
I think maybe that's a very good point.
I think the divisiveness of Last Jedi, that there are some people that hated Last Jedi so much that they did in fact boycott it and didn't go. I don't think that's a big number.
Right,
That's
right.
not going to
It's like an
affect the grosses
extreme-
like
it's an
that.
extreme
That
group.
is a very small percentage point, but it goes into my thinking as well. Mostly, I think that it was a crowded summer. It was a quick turnaround. I think there was a little bit of the waves behind the making of the movie. The changes in the directors caused it a little bit. I think you had a perfect storm of reasons, and you cannot pinpoint just one. I really don't think you can pinpoint just one. But if I weighted it, I think it was that it came out so soon after The Last Jedi in a crowded summer
Did
of
your mom see
blockbusters.
Rogue One?
My mom saw Rogue One.
On her own thing.
Yeah, she goes every Tuesday with her friends. Here's why Solo missed it. Not only was it Harrison Ford, Han Solo, she also said, why is there a movie about Han Solo? Pretty much saying I know everything I need to know. And then this is why I'm waiting box office.
Yeah.
She was a little bit behind. She also does the independent releases. She does a lot of movies. She went and saw Infinity War first.
Yeah.
Okay, but this was close to Solo coming out. Deadpool 2, and then a number of movies just caught her eye more because it was the crowded summer.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest reason. Because if I look at my mother, who sees everything, and decided in a crowded summer that, you know what, Harrison Ford's not in it. I don't really need to see a Solo movie.
Yeah.
Let's skip it. And when you say that, I think that represented a huge amount of people that said, you know what, Infinity War is, everybody's talking about that. Harrison Ford's not in this. I didn't really need a Solo movie, so we're going to skip this one. I think that's it.
Yeah. First of all, it's a lot to think about, and it's a lot of good stuff there.
Thank you.
So, just are you saying then that potentially, if they had optimized some of these marketing and release strategies, because that's really what you're talking about, right?
I think so too. Yeah, we didn't see a trailer for a very long time.
Right. So, if it would have been released, let's say this Christmas,
I think we would have done much better. Absolutely. We would have had a little bit more time to breathe. The fact
given us, the Christmas with Star Wars is my favorite thing, but going with my brother and my nephews.
There's something magical about it now that thanks to Disney buying the property and launching it again because they needed time to get Force Awakens ready. They went, you know what? Because Force Awakens was originally going to come out in May. That was where Star Wars was kind of planting their flag.
There has never been a better marriage of a movie franchise and a season other than Star Wars and
in Christmas. Absolutely.
In Christmas,
the holiday
it's absolutely
season.
their best choice.
There's something about walking to the theater,
Right.
wherever you are in a crisp night,
Yeah.
with seeing the lights, knowing
It's
that you're maybe
beautiful.
on vacation from work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
again,
it also helps you when you go to the toy store.
it helps you when you go. That's synergy right there, man.
Yeah.
You're going to go buy them some presents.
Yeah, I was ready to say, I don't think it would have made that huge a difference, but now thinking about it, Solo coming up this Christmas,
Yeah.
we would have been easier on him because, they did release it so close to The Last Jedi, huh?
Yeah. Oh, it's 5 months later. And also, think about it with Christmas, though. And
That Last
I know,
hate lasted for a long time.
It really did.
We still see the remnant soldiers of it out there.
Absolutely. I think it hasn't died. It's died down for sure, but I think that I couldn't stop seeing Solo and Last Jedi mentioned together. They were all so I think that,
If you listen really closely,
yeah.
right, you can probably pick up on the microphone the beginning of the Schmodown.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I just stopped. I went.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's
so
cool.
It's a little Easter egg there for you guys.
Yep, the Easter egg. We are recording during a Schmodown. Yeah, I think that when you put it at Christmas, you have the toys, you have kids wanting to see it because kids loved Solo.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it away from a lot of. I saw those kids. I saw them dressing up as Lando and Han Solo, and you walk out of the theater then and go, "You want a Han Solo figure?"
Right.
Yeah.
Go to the game store. The game comes
The
out.
game comes out. All of that kind of tied merchandise together. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Last Jedi soldiers, as you put them, like that conversation was still happening somewhat when we got into Solo. But you can't argue too that Infinity War was dominating the conversation.
Right, and that was around the same time, wasn't it?
Yes, April 27th.
Yeah.
They moved it back a week.
Right.
And then, but it kept going.
Right. All the fandom, right? Like
Yeah.
like our demographic,
Yes.
right? Or our sociographic, I should
mean,
say.
they still wanted-
We're exhausted by this point.
Yeah, I think. And then Deadpool 2
yeah.
comes out.
The next weekend or something,
Yeah,
right? Or-
Deadpool 2 came out on May 18th, my birthday.
Yeah.
I remember this because I was like, thanks for the nice present. But a week later is when Solo came out.
Right.
So, and Deadpool 2 barely, if I remember correctly, well, no, it took the number one spot. I shouldn't say that. It took the number one spot, but
Yeah.
then Solo barely takes the number one spot because it opened under 100 million, which is
like 80 something, right?
yeah, 80s. Yeah, I think it was 80 something. So look, you have that to wash into the Solo discussion.
Yeah.
You obviously have the fact that Lord and Miller were canned,
Yeah.
and they need to do a ton more
I have
reshoots.
a source about that actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Something for the show or just in general, like
No,
off
no,
camera.
I'll say it for the show.
Well, say it
It's a
now
source.
because just say it. It's
Yeah.
because I need to know that.
Yeah.
I want to know is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. So I know somebody, right? I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to say where the source is.
Yeah.
But that has intimate knowledge of the situation.
Okay.
Okay. And bottom line is that Lawrence Kasdan and
John Kasdan, his son.
I believe it was his father.
Yeah.
This is what I heard.
Okay.
His father's credited as a writer too.
Yeah, they co-wrote the script.
Yeah. No, it was the father.
Okay.
That this is very specifically about. Had a horrible relationship with Lord Miller.
I heard that too.
Okay, that
Yeah.
this was like it was mega drama.
Because Lord Miller were throwing out his script.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Look,
And when I say throw
I'm
it
gonna
out,
be very careful what I'm saying because I'm gonna say exactly what I heard. Just
Yeah.
I'm not gonna embellish.
Right.
Because I have thoughts about why things happened,
Mm-hmm.
but that's conjecture. All right. So I'm gonna eliminate the conjecture out of it and just keep it to what I actually heard. Right.
Okay.
These two people couldn't stand each other. Okay. It was bad.
yeah,
It created a toxic environment around the film.
Yeah.
Okay. And that Lawrence Kasdan, okay, was pretty much communicating to Alden Ehrenreich that he was potentially being marginalized, like almost lobbying Ehrenreich
yeah,
to turn on Lord and Miller. Okay. And now that's slight conjecture, but literally like that what was the proposal. Okay.
Yeah.
Or that's what was kind of going on. And then Alden Ehrenreich did in fact stand up against these folks, along with Lawrence Kasdan, and I'm sure all kinds of things that I didn't hear about. And that they brought in Ron Howard.
Yeah.
Right. So in Hollywood, something that's really important to know is that at this level of Hollywood, the most important person on a film is the actor or the actress.
I think, especially, you know what, for this movie in particular,
every movie.
yeah, for every movie, I get it, but
yeah,
I think it's even to your point is even more important because of the shoes he's trying to fill.
Yes.
Harrison Ford.
Right.
So, and I heard that too. I don't know. I don't know if this is. It's not the same person or people or whatever. But the reports from all the major trades said
Just
this.
to finish the story,
Yeah.
when Ron Howard came in, okay, the vibe was supposedly spectacular.
There was a report that they did a round of applause when Ron Howard was announced coming to take it.
And that even on the set, the vibe was great. And that's why my expectations for this film going in were so high, because I had heard that story from somebody who I know was telling me the exact truth.
Right.
Right. I like Ron Howard. I like his legacy with Willow and George Lucas and understanding all these things. I had huge expectations for it, you know.
I did too, and unfortunately for us, now we'll move on to the next phase of this. Our expectations weren't met. Solo was hard for me. I was so bummed. I walked out of there that first time, and I looked to Ken Knapsack, who loved it. He loved Solo, and he told me so. And I went, Ken, I don't know why I didn't like it. I'm trying to figure it out because as a Star Wars fan, I'm going to want to like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I can't...
Especially with your Last Jedi history.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like people, oh, Last Jedi. I don't care.
Yeah.
I love The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But Solo, I was like, I'm trying to like it, Ken. I'm really trying. I mean, there's stuff in there that I absolutely adore. There's some moments in there I loved.
Chewie and Han are good.
Chewie and Han are great. But it didn't... I said it at top. Felt like I've already seen all this. I already knew all this. I already knew he makes the Kessel Run. I already knew he shoots first, even when George Lucas said he didn't. And I'm changing the... Nope. I'm sorry. You cannot take away 1977's New Hope for me.
Right.
Because I was there when Han shot first.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. But I knew all of this.
Right.
I didn't need to know the whole reason why Han and Chewie got together, but I loved the scene.
Right.
I did like that. That was one of my favorites. So... it just kind of felt, and then at the very end, again, we mentioned the spoiler alerts. When Darth Maul shows up, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I loved it. I geeked out. I was like, oh, I kind of leaned forward and
I was
smiled
glad
and went,
that
oh
he
my
was
God.
there, but I didn't like what the scene.
It was then afterwards I went, what are they doing? How are they going to do this? We'll never see it. Nobody's going to make a Solo sequel with Darth Maul anymore.
And like Darth Maul is such a silent assassin. He's such a stoic character, especially even those few little minutes that we got with him in The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Why is he turning on his lightsaber in the middle of a hollow conversation? It's so anti-Star Wars.
It was
makes no
to
sense.
threaten Kira. I think
Well,
it was
how?
exactly. What are you going to do it through space? Nope, only Luke Skywalker can do that. I see how I'm going to use Luke Skywalker being the most
it was a good pull.
brilliant
It was a good pull.
Jedi,
Yeah.
powerful. Anyways, I think it was a threat move, but it was also a move, and this is a big reason why. When he lights the lightsaber, it's to show some of the peeps that might not be like the Star Wars heads that we are, to go like, oh yeah, he's that guy. He's because he lights both ends, right? So that's gonna,
And it looks like one from like the cartoon show, because our friend, rightfully so, said if you want to be consistent with canon, it should look like this. And I think part of this factoids that makes me think about that is that, it's pretty much out in the open now.
Yeah.
That this whole like Hidalgo,
Pablo Hidalgo.
yeah, this whole story group thing and this whole sanctity of the canon. It's not so sanctimonious anymore. Okay, people are pulling stuff from Wikipedia, like,
right?
I mean,
he and to your point on some of this, John Kasdan pulled something from Wikipedia, the space port, in Corellia,
right.
And so you read it a little differently than I did. I happen to like a lot of these factoids because I love the making of movies. I mean, the makings of movies. I'm a nerd when it comes to the bits and pieces that made something, because making a movie is hard, man. It is. I've done it. I did it, and it worked in the sense that I have a movie that I could show people, but it's hard. So with this, then you lose your directors. You are recasting an icon. You are creating. So many canon books are out there, but that's that.
Yeah.
What can I say? So I'm trying to get to, because we're on the Maul situation.
Read some of the ones that you found interesting.
So I'm jumping ahead all the way to 51. If you felt like it was just a cheap stunt, I suppose that's fair. But the truth is, Maul was built into the design of Solo in many subtle ways, including the name Crimson Dawn, the artifact in Dryden's study, and Kira's use of Terrakai. Maul is my favorite character. Terrakasi? Okay, thank you. Maul is my favorite character from the prequel trilogy. Right, by the way, Terrakasi was that PlayStation video game. That's where they got that.
So Coronet and Terrakasi are both integral parts of Star Wars Galaxies.
Exactly.
As well. Yeah.
So that's where they use it. Maul is my favorite character from the prequel trilogy. I love that Dave Filoni brought him back and expanded on his story in Clone Wars and Rebels. I love that there is at least some continuity between the shows and the movies. For me, Maul was destined to pass through Solo as the ultimate Star Wars Kaiser Soze. I like that.
Okay, I like that too, but this is my point, and I think I'm actually reading it correctly. You can't beat somebody over the head with something.
Okay.
Darth Maul is not the Kaiser Soze of Solo. If Darth Maul was the Kaiser Soze of Solo, it might have been a good movie.
We wouldn't be then Darth Maul by this design is not Darth Maul, he's another name. Because Kaiser Soze reveals himself. Right?
Right. Well, but not only that, but Kaiser Soze, even though you don't physically know that it's Kaiser Soze, you always see Kevin Spacey in the film telling the story. He's got an integral part to the narrative. That's the only reason that he's Kaiser Soze is because this whole time you've perceived him as some pathetic, snitch, right? If he's saying that Darth Maul's Kaiser Soze, Darth Maul needs to be more involved in the film other than a reference to the Crimson Dawn. This is an excuse. This is BS.
It's hard for me to disagree with that. It's hard for me because with the Maul character in particular, I loved the reveal. It brought me back to I loved the character in prequels.
I mean, I was happy to see him again.
You nerd out a little bit. You're like, oh, and I flashed ahead, going, how is this going to come in? But at the same point, because I know Rebels and the Clone Wars and how Maul was utilized, I thought it was good that they used him. But when you put it in the movies and you're asking the audience to go, remember that character that was cut in half and you saw it happen?
Right.
He's not dead. And I think that is a giant leap for casual Star Wars fans who might have seen the prequels and might have seen it years ago and go, I remember that character.
Right.
But then to see him show up this way,
I totally agree.
It is so inside baseball for our Star Wars fans here. Crimson Dawn, Rebels, Clone Wars, you know why.
Right.
You see the robot legs.
All very subtle hints. Nothing that's truly integrated into the narrative, though.
Yeah, so it's hard.
That's my issue with this.
It's
like,
hard
this is
to
BS.
It's hard to jump from Phantom Menace, seeing a character killed like that, because I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
I think when you take a character that was cut in half and say, no, they didn't die in the movies without any explanation is risky.
Right, because you have it in the you're like I'm sorry, not Rebels. Clone Wars was a George Lucas baby. He was very, very involved in it.
And Filoni too.
And Filoni, of course, Filoni was the showrunner on it. But ultimately, George Lucas was very involved.
Yes.
In Clone Wars.
And they had the time to explain why Maul lived.
So if I'm reading this from John Kasdan, then I'm saying what you really wanted to do was have Maul in the film from the beginning in all three acts and have his narrative develop into some kind of thing where you see that he's in fact running the show.
Yeah.
That's not what we got, brother.
No, and it's
not even close.
And it's hard for me to see he's my favorite character.
Yeah.
And then to think, well, you're the writer.
Yeah.
And
you're telling me you have no power.
Oh my God! And then he's in it. It's like, so a lot of people, and this is fine wherever you land on this conversation, but I heard about Rogue One too. It was the best Star Wars fan film I've ever seen.
Right.
And I disagree with that because calling it a fan film, I believe, takes away from the power of the movie.
Yeah.
In that
agree.
it's like,
I
you're
like
not
that movie. Yeah.
You're not like, it's
canon for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's canon for me. I like it. Here we're walking that line. Maul was my favorite. He fanboyed out and put Maul in there.
Right, without earning it.
Without earning it. It's hard. It is really hard.
Let's go to another one because I know how long have we been running?
Oh, we've been going 45 minutes already.
All right, so let's
Yeah, we're not going to go through every bit of this because I think the conversation is kind of great.
Yeah. So
that it turned into this. Here, this is one I want to bring up because I saw it land on the internet kind of with a thud.
Okay.
And that's Kasdan says that absolutely Han told Leia about the thermal detonator. That remember he pretended to have a thermal detonator when he met Proxima.
Yeah. It's a good
and then
scene.
it was
it's
a
one
rock.
of my favorite scenes in the movie, actually.
Okay, so he is saying, I'm going to try to find it. He is saying
Leia or Kira?
No, so Kazan is saying that yes, Han told Leia about the move he made with Kira with the rock, pretending it was a thermal detonator. I'm going to try to find it because
In the original trilogy?
yes, so he's basically saying that connection to Leia coming out with Return of the Jedi
Oh, I see.
with a thermal detonator
with the faux detonator.
is that Han told her about it. Is that hey, I tried to do this with Proxima.
You know what? I've never. Speaking of echoes, that's one of my
It's an
favorite
echo.
scenes. That's one of my favorite
It's an
scenes
echo, for sure.
in Solo because I actually heard this also very intimately. Same source. That scene was actually the finale of the Solo movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like that he brings out the detonator was or like really the rock to like break through the glass was actually that Proxima was the real bad guy in the original film.
Interesting.
I heard this. So
Yeah. Well, here I
but
found
anyway,
this.
I had never made that connection between that and the Return of the Jedi scene.
So here it is.
Yeah.
At number 4, early on this useless factoid list, he writes in all caps, of course Han told the story to Leia about how Kira broke out of the den and the White Worms, and that's what gave Leia the idea to pull a real thermal detonator when disguised as a bounty hunter Boushh, or Boushh, however you say it, in Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi. And for anyone who feels that maybe that didn't need to explained, you're crazy. It had to be explained. I couldn't.
I'm confused with this.
Yes, I'll break it down because I cannot disagree with this more.
Okay, good.
I can absolutely. I look at this, and the reason it landed with a thud. Good. Let the hate flow through you. One, you're over. No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You are over explaining this right now.
Right.
And when you say it had to be explained, I think that takes away from everything in that scene in Return of the Jedi to watch Leia walk in like a badass and go, clink, I'm going to throw this MFN thermal detonator up yo ass, Jabba, if you don't give me what I want.
It is one of her best scenes in the whole
one of her
trilogy.
best.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that it wasn't her idea, it was Han's idea, and she went, oh yeah, he did that, so I'm going to do that.
That's like the epitome of retcon.
Retcon, I think it takes away, and I think this is why it landed with a thud, is that a lot of people had the trouble with that because it's retconning Leia's badassery a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with
saying
that.
it wasn't her idea.
I totally see that.
Some
point of
people
view.
had an offense to that. I'm taking more of offense because I love in my head canon, I love the idea of Leia going, I'm walking into this thing, right? And
It's a one-way
Jabba's
ticket.
there.
It's a one-way ticket.
It's a one-way
I love
ticket.
that. You're right.
I got Chewbacca
Yeah.
with me. I have Lando planted.
Yep. This is for all the marbles.
This is for all the marbles.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
I'm-
it does
if-
take away from that.
If it gets shitty in there, guys, I'm gonna throw the detonator.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be on our own.
It's a gambit. She's playing a gambit.
Total gambit. So versus that, what I just detailed, or well, how are we going to get Chewie in and you in with it? Well, Han did this, and so I'm going to do the same thing, but this time instead of it being a rock, I'm going to use a real thermal detonator. But that's what Han did, so let's try that. The stakes are so different.
Yeah.
The stakes are so
with you.
different.
I'm
You
with
know,
you. I'm
when you
with you.
think that Leia's like,
Wow, you make me want to read all of these in detail now because that is.
I did. There's a lot of them in here. A lot of this is fun backstory stuff.
Sure.
But let me get your take on this. But that's my take. That's why that landed
I'm
with
totally
a kind of
1,000.
a thud.
Like, I have nothing to add but agreement with that take.
Good. I mean, because look, as much as Luke is my favorite character, I mean Han's probably up there as well. But Leia is also one of my favorites, and Return of the Jedi in particular is one of those movies where
love that
I
movie.
was old enough now to really see Leia.
For a really long time, that was my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
And there was something about when Leia pulls off that mask and says, "Somebody who loves you." As a young man, young burgeoning young man that's now discovering women, I lost my shit.
And it's probably-
I went, "That's the woman
Yeah.
I want in my life."
And that movie probably has one of my favorite lines in all of Star Wars, which
Yeah. From a certain point of view. Is that it?
No, when Johns and I play Rec Room, which is this VR game.
Oh, yeah.
We always use this. We only talk to each other in
In Star Wars code.
in Star Wars quotes.
Johns and I do that as well sometimes.
Yeah, and one of my favorite lines is, "How we doing, kid?" You know, same as
always. That bad, huh? Where's Leia? I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, like it's just great, and you're right.
There's
So,
nothing to see.
anyway,
I grew up here. You're gonna die here.
I
you know.
noticed the name of my favorite filmmaker on number 12.
Okay.
We wanted Min Baum to evoke Kubrick's Paths of Glory, which is a great film, and put Han in the most hellish possible war environment. That scene does look like war.
Yeah, it's cool. I like that they do Paths of Glory. I think that here's the thing about this. It just occurred to me. It is so risky to put out stuff like this in that for film buffs like us, when you say this scene was always inspired by Paths of Glory, you're inviting criticism
I agree.
there.
I agree.
You're inviting them to say, you didn't hit it.
Right.
That's no, you didn't touch that.
Right.
I think they did. Okay. How are you going to compare a Star Wars movie to Kubrick? It's hard.
It's
depending
hard,
on who you are.
But Kubrick to me, and if people out there like that haven't seen Kubrick, I highly encourage it. I think that George Lucas's storytelling style of this kind of grandiose, but yet very much about human nature, sometimes very action-packed things. Kubrick is like that. He's actually a good director when it comes to that stuff.
He really is. Yeah, but I mean, I get why he's saying that this is.
Yeah, but there was a new character. There was another member of the crew.
Yes, he did say that. Where
Corso was his name.
the original logic for Corso, who was a rather large man, was that Beckett had lost his muscle and Chewie is a useful replacement. So we wanted Minbun to evoke Kubrick's Path of Glory. Originally, there was a fourth member of Beckett's crew, Corso. In some of the shots, you can even see him. So he was there. His performance was great, but given the hectic environment, it became confusing to introduce a character we were going to immediately kill off. So the original logic for Corso, who was a rather large man, was that Beckett had lost his muscle and Chewie is a useful replacement. Now, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of notes that he wrote down, huh?
There's a lot of notes, and I do like that. Again, I go back to what I originally said. I love reading the making of books. I love the history of making film. It fascinates me. I love the mechanics. I love the nuts and pieces. And I love the development of this, this is what.
Look,
so
a lot of these are excuses. Whether or not you were surprised by Beckett's betrayal, it had thematic inevitability to it. That's an excuse, by the way. This moment was meant to rhyme again. You know, this constant idea of the rhyming with Star Wars.
The Rhyming and the Echoes is an episode I do want to do.
Yeah, and let's do it. Let's do it. With the rhyme and the moments in A New Hope when Han returns and saves Luke during the assault on the Death Star. In both movies, the older, cynical character reluctantly departs and then suddenly returns. Right.
But Beckett returned because he wanted the shit. He's not returning to help.
Right.
He's returning for the double cross.
Right.
So I get it.
With Beckett, it's a betrayal. With Han, it reveals his heroic nature. I don't know. These sound like excuses to me.
Now, I didn't get that. Yeah, it's hard.
You don't get that that's an excuse for people that are...
No. I'm not getting Kasdan's point with Beckett.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm really not. I'm not getting why he is saying, what number was that? It's a
49.
49. So whether or not you were surprised by Beckett's betrayal, it had a thematic inevitability to it.
It's
Beckett's betrayal to Han and I see. I got it.
First of all, this is why I'm not that smart. I didn't realize that these are all in direct order because I've been kind of jumping around them.
Yeah, well, it's fun to jump around. A lot of this is nuts and pieces. A lot of this is thematics.
But
a lot of this is what is.
It's kind of like he watched the movie and jotted down notes in chronological order.
I'm going back now on that 49 thing. I understand what Kasdan means when he says that Beckett came back and that it has a thematic inevitability to it. The betrayal he is talking about is why Han comes back to help Luke, is that Beckett came back to betray Han, steal his shit, and then ultimately was going to kill him, and Han shot first and killed him. I think that what Kasdan is saying is that because of that Beckett experience, he goes back to save Luke.
Yeah.
I can buy that.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense.
It makes sense. I do like this.
Again, like, if you have to tell somebody the joke is funny...
I think you're running that risk with this because when he says 52 useless factoids,
he's really saying 52 reasons you should think the joke is funny.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that because here we are. There are lots of inside baseball references. There's lots and lots of this is what we were thinking about. It's almost like a 52 things that he really wished you guys saw from the movie because then it would have done better.
Right. Oh boy.
That's what I'm picking up on.
Did you read 52?
Let me read 52 right now.
52. He's like, this is like.
Will there ever be a sequel? I think this is a great place to start wrapping up the show because this is an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
52. Will there ever be a sequel? Because it really seems like you guys were setting one up. To be honest, I think the challenge has much more to do with the foreign box office than the U.S. Personally, I think there are great Star Wars movies to be made that don't need to cost quite so much.
Excuse.
Hopefully, that will be the trend in the years to come, and maybe, just maybe, that trend will allow us, one way or another, to tell more stories with Alden, Junius, Amelia, and Donald.
Translation, please give me another chance. I promise I won't make such a bad movie again.
With those actors and Ron Howard, I would jump at the opportunity.
With less pressure, with less economic pressure.
Given the way Hollywood and the culture is at large seem to run from anything labeled a disappointment, the odds seem like they're against it happening anytime soon.
Well, honest.
But I suppose Han wouldn't have it any other way. So that is the sign-off from him, basically saying, what about the sequel? Well, he couches this in Hollywood and the culture at large. They run from anything labeled a disappointment.
Finger pointing.
Yes.
It's a little bit of finger pointing.
Well, finger pointing because, yeah. He's basically saying this movie didn't make enough money to warrant a sequel.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
And the fact that you all people are shitting on it all the time doesn't help.
Right. And that, Star Wars fans, however you
but
land with
if we
these
didn't
things.
have so much economic pressure to make so much money because it is a Star Wars film.
Right.
And we were allowed to make like a fun little or like a smaller, more heartfelt movie, I promise you it would be better.
Yeah.
So it's like if you really want to expand the Star Wars universe, he's basically pitching them on, let me make an indie Star Wars film.
Right, which they're not going to do. Not right now. They're not going to do that. They're going to put it on the TV series.
Right.
That's where they're going to go. If you want smaller scale Star Wars stuff, maybe at $10 million an episode for 10 episodes that will get you a $100 million production. I think that's where they're going.
Great production.
Then that's what you can do. But here, he wants a sequel. It's not warranting one. Let me tell you something. If Solo made Rogue One numbers, there would be a sequel.
Yeah, I agree.
There would absolutely be a sequel. If this thing didn't make Rogue One numbers and it hit close to $1 billion, 900 million, this would get a sequel.
Yeah.
800 million, this would get a sequel.
Yeah.
We are talking 392 million
It's a big
worldwide.
drop. Yeah.
And so when people ask, will there be a sequel? You guys, they brought up Darth Maul. They did introduce the idea of it. We heard rumors that Alden signed up for 3 pictures.
Right.
We knew Rogue One was going to be a little tough. I think what could have happened, what Lucasfilm was thinking, I have zero knowledge of this, source or otherwise. But what I'm thinking is, we heard that Felicity Jones had signed on for 3 pictures, right? Well, we know what happened to her. Spoilers for Rogue One, which is even older than Solo.
It's just a safety.
They died. They died. They all died.
It's a safety thing.
Here's where I think.
And on Collider Live, when the writer was on Collider Live, he said that at one point there was an idea to keep them alive.
Right.
In Rogue
There
One.
was. And Chris Weitz you're referring to, he wrote Rogue One. He did one of the drafts. I think that in the future of the Solo film, which takes place before Rogue One, I think Felicity Jones could have popped in somewhere with Solo, maybe just an appearance like a Marvel shared universe where like Captain America shows up for 5 minutes, or Thor shows up or Doctor Strange shows up in Thor Ragnarok, those kind of things.
They gotta like Star Wars, not to be cocky, Star Wars inspires the MCU.
Yes.
And yes, there could be some cross-pollination and some learned things. But Star Wars has always been the film franchise that pushes the narrative medium, the technologically, the science behind the medium, the science behind franchising, behind ancillary products, behind marketing. Just because the MCU's been kicking your ass doesn't mean you have to like it. To quote one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Just because you lost today, kid, doesn't mean you have to like it.
Yeah.
Okay? Star Wars has been getting their butt kicked for the last 2 years, even though they kicked ass at The Last Jedi. Like, Solo is their first, like, The Last Jedi was like the setup punch.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, yeah, you're still winning the fight, but, you took a hit.
Yeah.
Force Awakens was so positive. Han Solo is like you got surprised to the chin and you hit the floor. And you got back up. You
Yeah.
got to get back up. Is my point.
But
Anyway.
I think that it's interesting to receive 52 useless factoids from John Kasdan.
Excuses.
I tend to agree with you. I'm going to play a little bit devil's advocate again. That's what I was trying to do this whole show, to represent both sides of it. I did say I love behind the scenes filmmaking. I love hearing stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I am following this kind of idea here. The fact that Solo did so poorly at the box office, and that this is coming out around the same time as the Blu-ray, I think this is the writer saying, hey, we were really trying to do something special, which is absolutely awesome that they were.
Yeah.
That this was behind it. But it's also this is what's behind it. I wish you guys saw.
Right.
This is what I'm taking. I wish you guys
This makes
saw what I saw.
This makes you even more complicit in the crime. Or like,
Yeah,
look,
I mean,
crime is a very extreme, hyperbolic thing.
Sure.
This makes you more complicit in the fact that you didn't do the most that you could have with your opportunity,
Yeah, I think that.
which is
I'm
like
not
what
gonna
life
go.
is all about.
I'm not going to go completely in the excuse aisle
Yeah.
for this. I'm going to go with he wanted to share some of the stuff, but he was sharing it because he wanted to know what they were going for and wished you guys went out
Would
and
you
saw
agree
this.
that at least it has a defensive tone to it?
I don't know. It's hard to agree. I
Okay,
mean,
well,
I
let me
from
quote.
certain points of views. Yeah, read something.
If you felt like it was just a cheap stunt,
Yes, I do feel that's
I suppose
defensive.
that's fair. But the truth is, Maul was built into the design of Solo in many subtle ways. In case you didn't catch it, he didn't say that. That's me ad-libbing. But anyway, it goes on to say, including the name Crimson Dawn, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
We already read that.
That's defensive. I agree with
Yeah.
that because it's obvious he's reading the comments.
Yeah.
He's reading fan reactions.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Well, look, I was afraid of this episode. This is episode 8, right? The last Jedi of Rule of 2 episodes.
Yeah, right.
This is when something starts going wrong. But I think we had a great discussion.
I think this was a fantastic discussion.
Yeah.
I think that
And
no
let me
matter,
get some of my Solo stuff out.
Yeah, me too. And I
Yeah.
wanted to have a discussion on because I hated the fact I didn't like it.
Me too.
And I
Me
read
too.
some of those things, and I had a problem with the thermal detonator stuff. I had a few problems here and there. I do agree with you on that defensive tone with if
Yeah.
you didn't see this. But the fact of the matter is Solo landed a bit of a thud in the theaters out there and in the Star Wars universe. And here are 52 facts. Everybody listening at home right now, did you read all of these? We want to hear from you now. Why don't you hit us up on Twitter? There's going to be a YouTube comment section that you can do because we are filming and recording this. Let us know what you think. Did you like this? Are you kind of, one part of it for me, filmmaking, love it, love behind the scenes stuff. Do you like that? Are you more with Fernandez? I'm with you on this too, but with Fernandez, is this defensive? Is this excuses? Is this kind of like not...
Like, this is my 52 useless reasons why I missed out on the greatest opportunity of my life.
Ooh,
Let me be
boom.
clear about it. Yeah.
You heard it there. So we want to hear from you guys. Drop in those comments, whether it's in the YouTube section or if you go to the Podcast One feed that is on the Collider Jedi Council. Rate, review this, drop in your comments, and get this out there because we thank you for the support. Rule of 2 is dropping every Wednesday on the Podcast One Collider Jedi Council feed. I am Darth Rileyus, a.k.a. Yodi, a.k.a. Mark Riley, and you are...
Mark Fernandez.
Mark Fernandez, at Mark Fernandez on Twitter and at Riley Around on Twitter. We will see you next time on an all-new Rule of 2. Do it. May the Force be with you.
Rise.